Well, I certainly hope the audio is working now. So we should be live on OBS. This is a very late Nerdrotic Nooner. And, well, we need to talk about a Joker trailer. And we need to talk about Star Wars a little bit. And, oh, wow. Did I just boomer that already? It looks like I'm coming through just fine, and that's all I wanted to find out. So we're going to put that to sleep right there. Hi, everybody. I got some super chats to get to, but I want to start out with one thing. Dave Chappelle is a national treasure. I tell you. I just watched his special while I was at the gym, and it was hilarious. And we need to praise David Chappelle because he is doing what I asked and what a lot of us here have been asking. Somebody needs to start mocking this crap that's been going on. And he did it. And he mentions something that I've mentioned before, and he's mentioned before. I'm not saying I invented this, but part of normalization of anything is being able to make fun of it. You know, when you're in tight with your boys or your lady friends, is when you can, especially us dudes do this, we give each other shit. That's part of being a bro. That's part of being a friend. And that's part of being a family member. We do it all the time in this household. You should hear me and Mrs. Nerdrotic, our banter. I don't know. Sometimes it makes people uncomfortable, but it's pretty funny. And that's because we're very comfortable with each other, and we're very comfortable in our own skin. And that is at the bottom of everything here is this scourge over the United States of insecurity and not being okay in your own skin. I have no power over you whatsoever. Dave Chappelle has no power over anybody whatsoever. So if you're offended, that is not his problem. If I offend you, that is not my problem. That is your problem. And I can't repeat any of his jokes, but especially because I wouldn't want to besmirch them in any way. Watch his special. It's beautiful in some of his analogies. He gets to the bottom of the issue, and that's why he is a national treasure, a comedic genius, and one of the last good comedians we have out there. So hats off to Dave Chappelle, man. That was freaking brilliant. I was laughing my ass off. I make sure to watch the bonus footage afterwards because it gets worse. But he makes a great point in there too. So all praise to Chappelle. And yeah, it was the Tim Pool video. I didn't even know that landed on Netflix. I saw it on a Tim Pool video, and I guess Jeremy's done a video, and both Jeremys have done a video. The Jeremys. So let's get to a couple super chats from the last live stream where it's on Netflix. Yoda Yo. It's on Netflix. It's called Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones. It's freaking brilliant. Some of his best work. Now, I did a previous live stream that I boomered because of the audio. So the Grand Inquisitor gave me $5 and says, "Hail Gary, Kathleen Kennedy is a prime example of why you don't let your sister play with your toys. Hail the Fandom Menace. May episode 9 flop hard. 9 to episode 9. And that is, that's a Doomcock saying. We got to get TM to Doomcock on that one. So Fat Zombie for £5. Hello, been a long time listener from the UK. Just saying hi. I love your channel, and I love you, Fat Zombie. And you know, I don't mean to body shame you, or you don't need to body shame yourself, even though you're dead. You still should have confidence. You should be okay in your own decaying skin. Scaro Trek for $2. C3PO got bad reboot treatment. What a pity. Yes, bad reboot likes to make things red. Red matter, the red matter from Star Trek, the Rambaldi device, the entirety of the new trilogy from Star Wars. Yeah, it's red. And it should be swimming in red after we're done. But there's a lot of zombies out there who will go out and watch this. Chris Persia for 5 Canadian pesos. Hail to Dr. Woke for Xmas is the greatest gift the BBC could give us. No Dr. Woke for Xmas. Exactly. I called it last year. That's why I didn't make another video on it. Now, this was confirmed by Titan Comics, but nobody from the Access Media has run with this or not. But Doctor Who will not be airing on Christmas, nor will it be airing on Christmas. And a little bit later, I'll get into the obvious reasons why it will not be airing on Christmas. And we've got Tharies. Hey, Gary, and is there any chance you can do it tomorrow? I've already committed to one live stream tomorrow, Tharies, with Fandom Menace, with the Fandom Menace YouTube, but I might change the date if Fandom Menace YouTube can join me on Friday Night Tights, which I'd like very much. I also have the Exozone tomorrow, but if we can do it maybe after Tharies, that's a possibility, but that might be kind of late. Well, maybe it's our time for you because you're in the UK. So thank you for the $2. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. All right, so let's get, and now you can see the chat in here. So when this gets put up on Nerdrotic Live, you'll be able to see the chat. And once I play with this a little more, there'll be like scene transitions, but don't expect much more than this. I'll try to get the camera quality a little better, but that's about it. But I'm really happy you can see my two is it TARDISes or TARDI? I've never noticed. What's the plural for TARDIS? TARDI or TARDISes? So I have two of them. And it looks like the batteries are dying on those. But what's up, chat? Yeah, I was so happy. It just made my day listening to Chappelle today. I don't agree with everything the guy says, but I agree with this one fundamental thing. You can make fun of anything, and he does. And he makes the worst and best Michael Jackson joke in there ever. So and he actually makes a good point on why the King of Pop might not be guilty. I don't know if I don't want to get into it. I don't know, and I don't care. The man's dead at this point. Bird of Prey 5, Kapla, my friend Kapla. Dave Chappelle is great. I was afraid to watch in case he went woke. So glad he didn't. Kapla. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly from one side of the aisle, but he's not woke. And if you watch his extended footage at the end, he talks about why he doesn't make Orange Man jokes. And it's a good point from that side of the aisle, I think. And he plays all the time here at that comedy club in San Francisco, and I always miss it. I'm going to make sure I make the next one. I'm just going to make sure I'm not at the one that Gavin Newsom's at. My wife did his hair one time, by the way. Douchebag. Gavin Newsom, by the way, governor of California, also, while he was mayor of San Francisco, slept with his best friend's wife. His best friend happened to be his campaign manager. What a nice guy. I just watched Chappelle last night. He is moving from great comedian to damn near legendary for me at this point. Comedy needs him so bad now. Tim Riggs for $4.99. He is comedy. Listen, this is just a personal choice for me. The two people that make me laugh the most right now are two people who probably wouldn't even get along. Well, they might get along if they're in the same room. Steven Crowder and David Chappelle. And yeah, Steven Crowder is a comedian, by the way. He might lay on the politics and everything, but he's a comedian. And all hail Quarter Black Garrett. We love Quarter Black Garrett. Nomads, cheap and nerdy. Oh, you're not cheap. Thoughts on the Joker, and thanks for iTunes podcast. You're welcome. I'm woefully behind on those. I'm going to fix that after the live stream. Thoughts on the Joker trailer. Okay. I just watched it again. It looks like independently and objectively, it's an interesting looking movie from the trailer. Here's why I'm cautious. As a comic book fan, oh my God, as the comic book fan, I don't want to know the Joker's origin, not even in an Elseworlds. I even at the time when the comic book came out, as much as I loved it, I never counted that the Killing Joke as the Joker's origin. In my mind, the Joker is something that just came into existence when Batman did, and giving him any kind of an origin ruins the mystery of the Joker. To me, that's just me. This looks like a repurposed script. But Todd Phillips is a solid filmmaker. The guy is a damn good director. The Hangover for a comedy is one of the best directed comedies ever. If you look at it technically, as far as editing, music, scene transition, acting, it's one of the best directed, one of the best technically put together comedies this side of Mel Brooks's, I'm blanking on the, why am I Frankenstein? I'm like, this is goddamn. This is senility kicking in early. but with Gene Wilder, you know what I'm talking about. And Mel Brooks was always a great director as well. But Todd Phillips he's worthy of doing this, but I'm worried that the movie is going to be a big Orange Man analogy, which they were insinuating. As a matter of fact, Alec Baldwin was supposed to play Thomas Wayne, and then he backed out of the role. And the Thomas Wayne figure is supposed to be a stand-in for the Orange Man. And then, then I'll probably have a problem with it. So does it sound like it's going to be kind of woke? Maybe. We'll see when it comes out. I'm interested. As far as just the trailers, looking at it objectively, it looks pretty good. But those are both that's been widely reported that they were going to do the Orange Man analogy in there. I don't know if they've gone away from that. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see on that one. But the trailer looked good. Both trailers have been good, to be honest with you. They've kind of changed my mind because at first I wasn't interested at all, but now I'm going to see it. October is going to be a busy as hell month, especially here on the channel. And I got to get with Doomcock on how we're going to work out the Inquisition, because 3 shows that I cover are going to be out on one day, starting October 6th. We're going to have Batwhammon. Batwhammon's coming out. I'm going to cover Batwhammon. And Mr. Robot's final season starts October 6th. That trailer dropped yesterday. That looks pretty good. I love that show, as long as it, of course, the caveat is, as long as it doesn't go woke, I'll like it. And while it certainly is a very anti TV show, I've never seen it as woke. I've always loved that show. It's really damn good, and Christian Slater is great in it. So we'll see what happens in its final season. Sam Esmail has made his politics no secret, and that's why, again, I don't follow him on Twitter, and that's why I don't follow anybody on Twitter that's a creative or a star, because I just would like to see their art. And a lot of times it gets ruined. That's why I don't follow the writers of The Expanse, the book. Nicholas Horton, hail Gary, just got the notification. I'm glad, because I don't think the notifications go out that often for the live streams that I do here, but I'm not sure. Why don't you guys let me know? But thank you, Nicholas Horton, for the $2. Here we go. The Dr. 14 Blu-ray reviews. Gary, is MI3 the worst Mission Impossible movie? Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible 3. No, actually, the first one is the worst movie. Because they make Mr. Phelps the bad guy. So that's again, if I had a YouTube channel, I would have spent a year complaining about that movie, because I liked it up until then. It's like making Captain Kirk the bad guy. You just, no. So Mission Impossible 3 is not the worst. No. Is that the one? That's the J.J. Abrams one, right? Because Brad Bird did the 4th one. How many have there been? I haven't seen the last one. So Brad Bird did one and J.J. Abrams did one, and I can't tell the difference between the two of them. They're generic action films with, a very healthy Tom Cruise running, that funny Tom Cruise style of running that he does. All right, let me get over here. I don't need to see myself. That is not necessary at all. And it sounds like Mrs. Nerdrotic is home. That's good. There we go. I just need to be able to see the rest of the chat. Oh, no, we don't want that to happen. There we go. All right. So let's get do you want Raja Ghul original film as Rami Malek as a younger version of Raja Ghul? Asks Halam899. I don't want any solo Batman projects at all anymore. I want a moratorium on peripheral Batman characters. I want a Batman television show, and you can certainly just make Rami Malek a younger version of Ra's al Ghul. Why the hell not? That would be great. But I want a Batman television show, one that airs 10 episodes every year, or we'll say every year and a half. That's on HBO Max. That's done hardcore detective style, but not too grounded. Basically, taking Batman the Animated Series and adapting it to live action. word for word, shot for shot, I'd be okay with that. You would get Bruce Timm and Paul Dini to produce it, and I'm in. Take all my money. That's what I want. I think Batman's perfect for TV. I think comic book superheroes are better served on television, although they just haven't, Hollywood hasn't, bought into that, other than the CW, which I don't count anymore. But it's serialized storytelling. And if you took a very serious approach as far as comic book is concerned towards Batman, everybody would watch. I mean, you would just make all the money. HBO Max, if you want your next Game of Thrones, a Batman TV show, you would get 10 million overnight views every episode, maybe more. You would make millions. By the way, speaking of millions, the Mandalorian is $15 million an episode. $15 million an episode. And we're going to get to an article from the Business Insider. They're going to give us the business. Talking about Disney's focus on Star Wars for its Netflix competitor shows it's not worried about fan fatigue. Considering the amount of Star Wars they're putting out. And I don't want you guys to get confused with the amount of content they're putting out right now, because it's because of the streaming wars. So right now they're swimming in investor money. These are startups, right? These streaming services are startups. So they have a big pool, a big, giant pit of money that they can dig into and experiment and put out, as many shows as possible with their best franchises to get you to buy in to their streaming service. And then if a bunch of subscribers subscribe in the first year, they can show that to their investors, and then their stock goes up and they go from there. If this falters in any way, they're in serious trouble. That's why they've, been tempering everybody's expectations. Disney probably has more time than, say, CBS. I think Disney has about, 3-4 years to get their streaming service going. I think CBS All Access is 2 years in to about 3 years. And I don't think CBS All Access is going to be able to compete in any way, shape, or form with Disney, HBO Max, Amazon, and Netflix. And Hulu. I think CBS isn't even in the same, it's not even the same ballpark. $15 million an episode, according to the Business Insider. Let's see if I can get this going there, and we'll shoot that up. Let's make sure. Yep. Okay. And then we're going to go boom, 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 boom. And yes, I don't want to cover up the chat. Yeah, this is going to get fixed. Sorry, folks. But in the meantime, you're just going to have to deal. There we go. There, everybody can see that, right? All right. You don't need to see me. So Disney's focus on Star Wars for its Netflix competitor shows it's not worried about fan fatigue, but experts, I wonder who these experts are, say that the franchise needs to reinvent itself to thrive. And that's what I kind of talked about in my last video, which is the Mandalorian and Obi-Wan are Disney's version of regrouping and circling the wagons and trying to figure out what they're going to do. They're going to be able to draw upon Star Wars fans, what's left of them, their nostalgia for the next 2 or 3 years till they figure out if they're actually going to do a Rian Johnson trilogy and a Dan and Dave trilogy, which looks like now they're just plotting it. With Dan and Dave, if you're familiar with comic books, sometimes there's this, people will plot comic books, meaning they don't write. They just write a treatment. Somebody else writes it. Mike S. Miller, he knows what I'm talking about. What's up, Mike S. Miller? How's it going? All right, so let's go to this. Now, this is where it says it right here. The The Mandalorian, the first live-action Star Wars TV series for Disney Plus, cost $15 million an episode, according to the Wall Street Journal. Disney is investing heavily in Star Wars content for its upcoming service, Disney Plus, showing it's not concerned with Star Wars fatigue. Well, it is concerned with Star Wars fatigue, but they have no choice. They have absolutely no choice. They have to run with what they're running with. And that's why they repurposed it. And I also want to point out, and this is to back up the rumors that myself and the Overlord DVD himself, Doomcock, reported on, that George Lucas might possibly be getting some residuals from original trilogy and prequel characters. Maybe, possibly, maybe. Reported it as a rumor. But I think some of the best evidence is The Mandalorian. Why not make a Boba Fett show? Why not just use what they did in Dark Empire, that Boba Fett was able to crawl his way out of the Sarlacc pit and survive? We don't, he's certainly, age is a thing you can play with in the Star Wars universe. Maybe, maybe he's a humanoid race that can live twice as long as everybody else due to the gravity or something. We don't really know. We don't really know. Or maybe because, maybe that's the reason they cloned Jango Fett to begin with, is he's some type of superhuman or something, and if his spawn might be the same way. It's something you could play with. You could certainly have used Boba Fett. Apparently that IG-88 robot in the trailer is not IG-88. Why couldn't you use IG-88, Dengar, Bosk? I would certainly love to see Bosk running around kicking some ass. And I want to know Dengar's story. Like, what happened to that dude? He kind of looks like, and there's your body positive Star Wars guy right there. Dengar is not in that great a shape, and he could represent all us 50-year-old white guys with dad bods running around. That's Dengar, can be our hero, but they don't use him. In this day and age of I need to see myself in absolutely everything, I certainly want my middle-aged 50-year-old white recovering alcoholic and addict representation. I deserve that. I deserve it. I'm entitled to it. But experts agree that Disney's Star Wars strategy, by the way, hope is not a strategy. That's actually from Mrs. Nerdrotic. Okay. I'd love to say I own that one, but that's a Mrs. Nerdrotic saying, strategy will only work if the quality matches the quantity. Wow, man. Did you have to go to school to figure that out? Did you go to expert school? Do you have a PhD in expertology? To figure out that the quality needs to match the quantity. Wow. Freaking Dick Tracy. Any franchise can suffer from fatigue, particularly ones that have been around for decades. Daniel Loria, the box office pro editor-director, told Business Insider, to last into the future, they need to connect with audiences as they reinvent themselves. Well, there's no real data to go back on as far as franchiseology. Star Wars is basically the first mega franchise. So all the data we get is what we get from Star Wars. Anything before that, you might be able to equate maybe like a super group in music, like the Beatles, and the stuff only lasts, like the Beatles has lasted for decades because they broke up and they didn't get back together. That's the reason they have remained the greatest band of all time, arguably with some people, because they didn't get back together and screw up their legacy. They broke up. They stayed broken up. We got some, they found some music in the vault that they remastered, but basically the Beatles remained pure. What's happening to Star Wars is if the Beatles got back together, and I think this would have happened. If the Beatles have gotten back together, they would have made some schlock, okay? It probably would have sounded a lot more like Paul McCartney and the Wings than the Beatles. And I know there's people, I love the Wings. Okay, great. Love the Wings, but it's not the Beatles, okay? And we certainly, once we heard Paul McCartney and the Wings, we saw the difference between, John Lennon and Paul McCartney. I still love them, though. I still do. After Solo, a Soy Wars story, disappointed at the box office last year. Oh, so they admit it's disappointing. Oh, the access me. See, like I've said before, all it takes is time. All it takes is time. disappointed at the box office last year. Disney CEO Bob Iger, known associate of Harvey Weinstein, promised a slowdown. I'm not going to let that go. Slowdown on Star Wars movies. But Disney is a known enabler, I should say, allegedly, at least according to Deadline. But Disney is obviously still confident in the Star Wars franchise after the Solo mishap. Oh, it's a mishap now. It's a mishap, everybody. So now if the Access Media says it's a mishap, it's a mishap. But if we were saying it, 2 years ago or a year ago when it came out, well, I mean, we were just istophobes. We were Russian bot istophobes. Not only is a new trilogy being developed by Game of Thrones showrunner Dan Benioff and DB Weiss, well, is it being developed? I think being developed is probably the key word there. I don't know if it's being executed by them. I don't know if they're actually going to work on it other than plotting it. The first movie of which comes to theaters in 2022, but it's throwing a ton of weight behind the franchise on its upcoming streaming service, Disney Plus. I think Disney is concerned about Star Wars. I don't think Disney is concerned about Star Wars fatigue at all. And they, well, theoretically, they shouldn't be, because there's still plenty of Star Wars fans. There's still plenty of passion for Star Wars fan. But Disney is sure putting Star Wars fandom to the test, burning up as much goodwill as possible, as quickly as possible. Paul, oh my God, I'm not saying his last name. What is this? Dargaragabedalian? Who? I mean, dude. Okay, Paul Durgarabedian. The ComScore senior media analyst told Business Insider, if Disney thought there was going to be Star Wars fatigue, they wouldn't be putting out all of this content. Wow, more stating the obvious by experts. See what happens when you go to school, kids. You can state the obvious and get quoted in Business Insider. The Mandalorian, the first ever Star Wars live action series, cost $15 million an episode, the Wall Street Journal reported in July. That's on par with what the final season of Game of Thrones cost, and pretty damn close to what Star Trek Discovery cost. And look what that money did for you. So spending a lot of money on an episode doesn't mean you're going to get some good TV, but you all know that. The series will be available to stream when Disney Plus launches on November 12th. By the way, it's going to be weekly. And I count that as a blessing, because I get to cover every episode live like I did with all the television before, and it will only help pretty much every channel in the fandom menace. And there is more Disney plus Star Wars content in the works, and we know about this, blah, blah, blah. The only thing, so the Rogue One spinoff with Diego Luna, and I keep forgetting that's going to come out, and I just don't care. The streaming battle is first and foremost, yeah, Tom, by the way, Tom, if you're out there from Midnight Edge, you really should have trademarked Streaming Wars at the time, buddy, because they're using it heavily. The streaming battle is first and foremost about content, and content that you ultimately will not be able to get in other places. I did not know that, Stephen Beck. Thank you for pointing that out. The founder and managing partner of consulting firm CG42 told Business Insider. Is that all a consulting firm is basically you get hired by a company, tell them whatever they want to hear, and point out the obvious? Man, I miss my calling. The consumer will ultimately make some choices based on content they want and exclusively of the content. When you think about the four main engines of Disney Plus, Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars, those are four mega properties to have. No shit. Wonder how much they're paying that guy. Disney, I'd be cheaper, but I'd tell you the truth, so you probably wouldn't like me. Unlike the looming competition in the streaming war, you see that, Tom, right there? Sorry, right there, man. You could be getting a nickel every time they say that. Apple TV Plus, which, I mean, like, I saw the trailer for Apple's first show, and I think they're dead in the water. Warner Media's HBO Max, which is a player, and NBC Universal, which I don't think is one. Disney theatrical and streaming releases have the potential to complement each other, and Disney Plus provides an opportunity to capitalize on the big Star Wars productions without the added risks that go along with releasing a movie in theaters every year. So basically, they're saying they have a bunch of money right now, and they can put out as much as they want. Wow. Here's the thing. We're going to find out pretty quick how many streaming services people will generally put up with. I already know, you guys already know, because you've been telling me here in live streams for a couple years now. Three max, maybe 4. But it's going to turn into cable, and like a lot of people have said, there'll be some company that comes out that's an aggregate that will put them all together in some kind of package, and you're paying $80 a month again. What's the damn difference? I like the a la carte thing. I don't like that I have to wait an extra day, but I would much rather just pay for a show, a singular show that I want to watch, and I'll just watch that show. Of course, then the streaming model would fall apart, okay? Because basically what's happening with D Plus is Disney's back catalog, to state more obvious, and a couple of new Star Wars shows are going to float everything else that's on there. That's been working for Netflix for a while, but see, this is proof, I believe, that the binge model has failed. That Disney Plus is going weekly. I think it absolutely proves that the binge model has failed. The reason the binge model fails is for obvious reason. You're spending a ton of money on something that's forgotten within days. What happened with Altered Carbon, which was a pretty damn good show, but it was forgotten pretty quickly, and it feels like it's been forever. Well, they're finally filming it. It's gonna come out next year. The thing is, if you drop everything at once within 72 hours, the people who binge it, and you don't get all that free advertising that you get from YouTube or from the Access Media, who write articles after each episode. And I do what I plan to do on a show that I like or dislike, say for The Expanse. If The Expanse is smart enough to release weekly, but it doesn't look like they are, which I'm going to be critical of, I would do a live stream and a video. So that's 2 pieces of free advertisement, and extrapolate that out to all the other channels that will be covering it. Star Wars knows what's up as far as that's concerned. So let's get to a couple super chats, and then we'll get to the chat. Oh man. Oh boy. Hang on. I'm blind. I need to blow that up a little bit. You guys would laugh if you'd see how, like, I have to blow up my phone and the computer, like these giant letters with my glasses. It's bad. It's bad. So we get it after Tharies. Let's go down a little bit here. Oh boy. Sorry, folks. Hey, it could have been a lot worse. Michael Maloney for $10. I use my monthly free credit on Audible to get Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and even having it read to me is unreadable. So is there a book on Galaxy's Edge? Michael, thank you for the $10. Oh, I've got to listen to it then, because if it's as bad, Chuck Wendig's book, Aftermath, I'm trying to think. Nope, it's the worst book I've ever read. It's the single worst book that I've ever read cover to cover. Now, usually books, if they suck, I toss them. It's freaking unreadable. It's unlistenable. Yeah. So Bald Eagle 1787 for $5. Hail Gary. Been a while since I caught a show, but Endgame is stagnant at my store, Best Buy. Looks like you were right about the rewatchability. That's interesting to hear. Yes, Endgame, upon further review, is not a good movie. It's not a good movie, and it's a great example of hypnosis. It is. I think I get caught up in it too. It hits all the emotional beats right, but it's completely illogical. And when you think about what they did to Captain America, Captain America and Thor. They destroyed both of those characters equally. Captain America being selfish at the end is so not Captain America. But I don't think people in Hollywood, the culture there, understand how out of character that is. I'm sure they're like, why not? He did his good. He deserves that. No, that's not how Cap thinks. Cap's from the greatest generation. His mission doesn't stop. Cap wasted a lifetime of superhero abilities to go into a different dimension, to have a relationship with a woman that wasn't even the woman that he fell in love with in his dimension, because it was in a different timeline, right? According to their logic, that she's a different person then. So that was selfish. That was Captain America masturbating, basically. Cap wouldn't do that. It's ridiculous. And Thor, initially him being broken up about the loss of Ragnarok and everything, that makes sense. It's good. But what you do is you redeem him. He's not redeemed by the end. Basically he's on his first day of sobriety. He's on the path, but he's not redeemed. But they had to have him give the kingdom to Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie. I mean, you want to talk about nothing earned. Tessa Thompson's one of those characters that the other side loves to love because she smirks a lot and kicks a lot of ass. But when you think about it, there's like zero to her character at all. I can't stand Tessa Thompson anymore. All right. Maticus Finch, 1820 for $5. Hail Gary, just wanted to say thanks for the great content. I've been binging all your live streams and exozones at work for the last 2 weeks. That's cool as hell. Thank you for the $5. And that's surreal. It's, I don't know. I don't feel any different than, and I shouldn't, and this is a good thing, than when I had 1,000 subs. And it's bizarre still that people watch my stuff. And I don't mean to be all false modest and everything like that. It's just, it's cool and it's weird all in the same time, but in a good way. So thank you for binging. Yeah. Shia Storm Dragon for $10. What do you think of D Plus and their special low price deal for the streaming service? Is it a sign of desperation? They really need a lot of people to sign up, and the price is pretty damn good. I mean, it's great. And don't they have some deal where you lock in for 3 years? There's a reason for that, and I think it's smart. But it is a sign of desperation because they were billions in debt just on the streaming service, and they've been working on it for a long time. I'll tell you what, my old co-host John Reed was working on the Disney streaming service when he joined the channel, and that was in 2014, 2015. And then he stopped working on it a little while. Then he started working on it again. I think it was in 2016, 2017. So they have been working on this thing for a long time, and they plugged a lot of people from Netflix. So I noticed that they're going to come out the gate streaming 4K, which is smart, but I don't know. I just got to speak for myself on this one. The Disney catalog doesn't interest me at all. Like, I don't want to get a streaming service where I could watch a bunch of animated kids movies. I'm not into animated kids movies. Animated is tough for me. It's something I used to be into, and I'm just not as much as an adult. I love comic books, but animated stuff, it's got to be a really good story. Like Venture Brothers is the greatest animated show on television. And if you're not watching it, you're crazy. It's a great show. It's not PC. It's not woke. It is beautiful, well-told comedy, and it started out as a parody. It's a great example of what the Orville can turn into. So it started out as a parody and became its own show with, in-depth characters. And within all the zany humor, there's actually a lot of heart behind it. And it's freaking great in every way. And I can't wait for season 8. Hopefully it's soon, but I imagine we're going to have to wait another year. But go Team Venture. Go Team Venture. Sergio for 100 Mexican dollars. Which would you rather watch 5 consecutive times? The Star Wars Holiday Special or The Last Jedi? Oh, not even close. The Holiday Special. I like the Holiday Special. It's as cheesy as it was, and I think you have to see it in the time frame of having grown up in the 70s, and if you understand the 70s mindset, it was an entire decade of some of the worst art and fashion of all time. Some of the best music. Probably the best music, but art and fashion was just terrible, but in a good way. So it's very 70s. It's very of its time, and I like it. I would watch it 5 times over The Last Jedi. I have only watched The Last Jedi once. Thankfully, I've only watched it once, and I will not watch it again. I don't need to watch it again. The damn thing gave me a headache. And that's the only time anything I've ever watched affected me physically. Now, it could have been that I was dehydrated that day. I don't know. But I remember barely being able to drive home. Lucius Sula for $5. Gary, take great joy in the fact that Newsom's ex-wife is dating Donald Trump Jr. Kimberly Guilfoyle. Kimberly Guilfoyle. Well, you know how I know who Kimberly Guilfoyle is? My wife used to do her hair. She was a hair model for my wife once. Yes, what a small world we live in. But no, big fan of Kimberly Guilfoyle, especially since she's dating the Donald's Orange Man Jr. That's funny. Where's my Orange Man figure? Oh, Jeremy, if you're watching, I still have to say, I have a Donald Trump, 1/6 scale Donald Trump. I got one for Jeremy. Mine's in the case right now. But I got to bring that out to trigger people. He's going to be my trigger for some people. I have a couple things that fight off, Dreckies. I did one today on Twitter. I had a Dreckie come in, called me Nerdrotic. I mean, like, really? I mean, it's it's funny. It's funny. So I just shot him back that picture of James Charles naked with a covering his man butt with Mikey Spock holding her phaser backwards. It was part of that meme from a couple of days ago that's already old, but I got a chuckle out of it, and that's all that really counts. Ancient, what is it? Aniset Porta Drago for 10 Canadian pesos. I saw latest Midnight's Edge YouTube post on Sony Spider-Man. Very interesting. I hope Sony will not do the Spider-Woke man. I think they probably, well, Venom wasn't woke. I'll give them that. Venom was not woke, and that is partially why it was successful, by the way, and that's why it was successful in China. So maybe not. And you know what? If it's good, I will stand corrected or sit corrected. I don't trust Tom Rothman because he doesn't like superhero films and he's cheap. But Midnight's Edge did great work on that video, by the way. And Andre and Tom and Rob do great work over there. So yeah, definitely check out the video if you have not already. I think it's a possibility. I think Disney would have definitely made it woke. So, I mean, worst case scenario, it will be just as woke. I don't think it'll be more woke. It depends on Amy Pascal, who, again, she's a lot like Jar Jar Abrams. She's very good at navigating the waters at Hollywood and very bad at actual execution. Dan Kogan for £4.99. Hi, Gary. Love your channel. I listen while running. When you pause for a thought, I think it's buffering, and I stop and check. Damn. First world problems. Well, it just takes me that long to pause for a thought. It basically is buffering. It's the same thing. It just takes a while for the thoughts to get going. Drugs are bad, okay, Dan? Keep running, though. It's very good for you. This morning, what was I working out to? I worked out to Dave Chappelle. But lately, I have been working out to either an Ethan Van Sciver live stream if he does one early in the morning, and Clownfish TV. Clownfish TV is on heavy rotation with me right now. They do great work. I really like them. And, you know, I briefly chatted with them via DMs. So I'm just, you know, I appreciate good YouTubing when I see it. Captain Corelli's Mandalorian starring Nick Cage says Matt Joseph for $2. I would watch that. I would watch that. I would watch the hell out of that. But what we're getting is, man, I have a really crass term for Diego Luna's, what the hell, in the spirit of Dave Chappelle, Juan Solo. So Juan Solo, will have a TV show, and, you know, he's dead. He's dead. I'm not saying his character was terrible in Rogue One. Rogue One is a very watchable Disney Star Wars film, but let's be honest, it's the 10 minutes tagged on at the, not even the 10 minutes, like the minute tagged on at the end with Darth Vader that made it watchable, but it's not like, it's a decent movie. It's a decent movie. So yeah, I mean, I liked it when I came up, but I haven't watched it again. I didn't feel the need to buy it on Blu-ray, and you know, it was very forgettable. Cause you know, everybody died. So I don't really care, that much about seeing a character's past unless they're like an epic legend, like Obi-Wan. Okay, fine. You know, if you want to get into the past of like, in other properties like Gandalf, sure. Give me all the Gandalf in the world, or, yeah, but I mean, that's it. We saw the best part of Diego Luna's story there, and he died with everybody else, and they got the plans for the Death Star. There we go. So, Unhinged Crank, best continuation of Star Wars was the Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson newspaper strip. They told the story of Ord Mantell, the Executor, etc. Yes. And there is a very hard to find slipcover, hardcover book set that I am still looking for. I forgot what the publisher was, that collected those. And I remember racing to the paper to read those. Now Al Williamson and, Al Williamson and Carlos Garzon, did the illustration for the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi adaptations for Marvel, as well as the Blade Runner adaptation. They did a lot of cheating. I think they were tracing a little bit from the cells. I don't care. It was beautiful. I love those. The Blade Runner adaptation is great. I am a big fan of early Marvel movie adaptation comics. I love the Time Bandits one. They're worthless, but I love them. I love them to death. So yes, Unhinged Crank, spot on. Thank you for the $5. Could not agree more. Okay, is it Aniset Porto Drago for Canadian $2? My name is pronounced Aniset. Okay, so thank you. You didn't have to do a super chat there. Aniset Porto Drago. Sorry about that. Thank you. Peter Davison. G'day, Peter Davison. Say hello to Mom for me. Hello, Gary. Did you get a chance to open your post, please? I have not. I haven't gone by yet. I suck. But I will be able to now that this is set up. This was holding everything up. So now that this is set up, I hope it looks good. Does it look okay? Does it look, because that's the important part. I still got to work on the actual internet connection. But this machine I'm on is fast. I mean, it is like just packed with RAM and everything. So that should never be a problem again. And I got to talk to Odin. By the way, announcement time, everybody. Friday Night Tights is a live stream I do on Friday. I've been doing it for 2 years now. Out of the 2 years, I think I've only missed like a handful. It's always been at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I'm changing the time. I'm moving it up 2 hours to 5 p.m. Pacific time to accommodate some East Coast guests that I'm going to be bringing on. I spoke very briefly to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. All hail Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Good guy, a friend. And the plan is I'm going to start rotating more people in on the show. Now, some segments are going to be designated for my patrons who are going to pick a segment and they get to debate me or they get to join the show. It's part of a tier on my Patreon, or plug whatever they want. And I'm going to be bringing, and we have comics division. He's not going anywhere. And we're bringing in Geeks and Gamers people. So I'm going to rotate out, or permanently, we bring in some Geeks and Gamers people. So Odin's going to probably be joining us this Friday. Josiah is always welcome. He's been on before, but we're also going to bring in some other people. And, Jeremy, Jeremy might join us once in a while. You never know. But we can bring in some people, maybe even some people from Sports Wars. So it's going to be, almost like an open mic night. Maybe we'll even bring in Mike S. Miller. I don't know, Mike. Of course we could bring in Mike S. Miller. We'll bring in Mike S. Miller too. And we'll bring in whoever wants to come on. And, we don't want it too crowded, but if you have a channel and you want to come on, Jeremy made a great point in his video, part 1 of the Fandom Menace, where he's talking to the author, Steven. I suck. I always forget your last name. I'll remember it. I'll have it memorized. But Steven, the author of the Fandom Menace book, he has a channel. He's a good guy. We talked. And I'm blanking on his last name because I'm an old man. So he was doing an interview with him, and he pointed out, and of course, Jesse and Anna are always welcome. Whenever. Actually, we got to get Jesse on. If you invite Jesse, does Jeff automatically come with it? I mean, because they're kind of attached to the tongue right now. I'm kidding, only kinda. As I was saying, Jeremy pointed out that Anna and Jesse reached out to him, and that's important. It's important to ask, because I don't see everything. I would love to get people to come on. All you got to do is ask, and you can come on. It's cool. Even if you don't agree with me, I'd love to have a good debate, a good healthy debate. But every time I've offered that to somebody who's come in and, trolled me and stuff, they just run away. Typical. Destiny Captain. Oh, something smells good. I think dinner's cooking. Oh my God. The one good thing about Nerdrotic #1, the big son, my son, who's 6'6" and looks like a cross between Eddie Munster and Lurch, but a handsome version. He's a damn good cook. Oh, fuck. It's like having my own personal chef here. It's great. Got to double the workout though. Destiny Captain for $1.99. Gary, toxic mailbag today. Thanks for all you do. No, because I didn't go by the P.O. box. The UPS store has called me twice a day now. Will you please come? It's adult ADHD. That's all I can say. Mark C for $5. Do you think The Mandalorian is Dave Filoni's audition for more control over Star Wars content? I hope so. I think it's too little too late. I think Dave Filoni should have been in charge from the get-go. I have heard the ridiculous arguments why he shouldn't have been in charge. He didn't do anything before. His pedigree wasn't big enough. Didn't Marvel just hire some fundamentalist, crazy feminist to run a TV show on D+? I'm forgetting her name on purpose. But they couldn't have Dave Filoni run Star Wars. I'm not seeing the logic there. I'm pretty damn sure Dave Filoni could have ran Star Wars from the get-go if him and Jon Favreau were running Star Wars. And Favreau, helped get the MCU going. So he's got some good cred there. If those two were involved, and you still could have brought in Kathleen Kennedy. She could have just had her name there and let them do work. But hindsight's 2020. Yeah, Dave Filoni should have been in charge, and I think the show will be probably better because of him and Jon Favreau. And even if the show is great, which it could be, it's a great thing that's in the past that doesn't move the story forward and doesn't move the overall Star Wars story forward at all. But it could be, Mark C. I agree with that sentiment. Although I believe he doesn't need to do that. And I'm sure you believe that as well. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. Hey, Gary, Disney wants to turn Star Wars into the black hole, and Star Trek Discovery is on Apple TV. It's on Apple TV. See, this is where CBS has failed already. If all of your content is other places, why would anybody go to CBS All Access? I don't, I haven't canceled my subscription. I've meant to, but I watch Star Trek on Netflix or my Blu-rays. I don't watch it on CBS All Access, and I'm wondering how long. So that's interesting. STD is on Apple TV. Well, it better get some penicillin. Logic Noodles for Australian $10 with no comment. So I'll just say, g'day, Logic Noodles. Logic Noodles. They you eat them and you become a logic extremist. Tessa Thompson. I love Creed 1 and 2, but now I see she is the weakest part, says Unhinged Crank $5. Yes, because she plays one part. One part. Peter Davison, Australian $2. Super chat when I am able. Well, I appreciate it. You don't have to super chat all the time. I appreciate what you guys do. I'll try to get to the chat in just a second here. We'll go back and forth. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. By the way, thank you again for the $4.99. By the way, I was almost going to read that again. CJ Frank for $2. Say my name, Nerdrotic. Say my name. CJ Franks. CJ Franks. CJ Franks. CJ Franks. Is that good? That's good. CJ Franks. I can say it again. Cracklin for $9.99. Gary, it's funny how you're speechless when you hear people love listening to you. I'd rather listen to you than watch anything on TV. I think most people watching now would agree. Well, thank you. I don't know if everybody would agree, but thank you very much. And I will turn it back to you. I would rather sit down and talk to you or watch another live stream than 99% of the schlock that's on television as well. And I think that's something that doesn't get brought up enough within the streaming wars is YouTube and Twitch and people watching live streams. I think the number there's live stream numbers that are probably much bigger than Star Trek Discovery's viewing numbers. As a matter of fact, I know that. I doubt Star Trek Discovery does what Ninja used to get on Twitch. Although I've never watched a second of Ninja. He's like a Fortnite gamer. I know my son played Fortnite. That's all I know. That's all I know about it. The Grand Inquisitor for $5. Gary, I love the Venture Brothers. Yes. Have them all on DVD. You should do a review on the series. Loved Archer 2, but the last 3 seasons were kind of meh. Yeah, I dipped out on Archer, but Grand Inquisitor, if you dig real deep in my channel, you will find that I did review every episode of season 7. I did. And then I did a season review. But they are there. They are there. But I should do earlier ones. I'd probably do that on Nerdrotic Live, but I would be happy to do season reviews of the Venture Brothers and basically just gush over it because I love it. And now I want to watch an episode. It's been a while. It's been a long time. JPRPH1 for $4.99. Hail, Gary, did you see the Titan Season 2 trailer? Any hope for it? I did, JPRPH1, and I don't know if is Akiva Goldsman still involved. I will check right now. Titans IMDb. If he is still show running, no. The short answer is no. He is awful. But there were episodes he didn't write that were good. The 4th episode with the Doom Patrol was a very good episode. I did review every one of those, and I will be reviewing every episode of Titans with the great John F. Trent from Bounding into Comics. We'll probably do that over on Nerdrotic Live. We'll see. Let's see if Akiva Goldsman is still involved. Yep. Greg Berlanti, Akiva Goldsman. And despite those two, there were still some decent episodes. I hope it gets better. Hope is not a strategy, like I said before, but I hope it does. Because they're bringing in they're bringing in Batman. So on a TV show, of course I'm going to watch. That is September 6th, I believe. So that will be the first review on September 6th. Nerdrotic, please watch a series called Moonbeam City and review it, please, says Arthur Delenick. I will note that down. What is it? Moonbeam City. Better not be porn. No. Moonbeam City on Comedy Central. Sex-drenched crime drama of the 1980s, and it... Oh, I like the art. It looks like Nagel, so it's supposed to be like a Nagel cartoon. I will check it out. IMDb only gives it 7 out of 10, but I don't care what they think. All right, I'll check it out, Arthur. Thanks for bringing it up. What's the chat have to say? You should church out to show Dark on Netflix 2 seasons, and it's really good. Dark is good, David L. Dark is very, very good. I'm almost through season 1, and I love the music and everything about it. I think it's very good. There is still some good stuff out there. Moonbeam City, great 80s show that was never an 80s show, says Mikhail Johannesson. Yeah, it looks very Nagel. I like that. Don't have a TV. Cut the cable years ago, although I'd like to see Years and Years, says Cardinal Sin. Is that Years and Years? Isn't that Russell T. Davies' show? Well, I'm sure if you're creative and you sail the high seas, you can see it. You can see it. All right, back to the chat. Orville Nation. Hey, Gary, did you ever get a chance, any credence to, did you ever give any credence to the Darth Jar Jar theory that Lucas had originally intended to blindside us with Jar Jar being a Sith Lord? I would never give credence to that. That would be utterly ridiculous. The only thing I like what he did, I genuinely like Jar Jar being involved with being manipulated into allowing Palpatine to take over the Senate. I thought that was interesting. That was one of the interesting things. And I will still stand by my statement that the novelization of Revenge of the Sith is a very good story. And if George could have found a way to actually adapt that, and it would have been fantastic. It would have been, honestly, all you needed to do was make a movie out of that. And, you know, I wish they never would have shown Anakin as a kid. I wish they, you know, I like the Clone Wars. If they'd have shown the Clone Wars, and then if they were able to adapt Revenge of the Sith, you know, in some alternate world, people would look on the prequels differently, because that adaptation's great. I saw Nicholas Hammond in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen since Toby, LOL. Was he in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I wonder how he's looking nowadays. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. Nicholas Hammond, of course, was in the Spider-Man television series, which was really cool for the time. I loved it. Didn't they use footage from the Japanese Spider-Man, though? Did they, like, borrow footage from that, or did they shoot footage for itself? I don't know. I have it on bootleg. Gary, Return to Mayberry is one I'd rather watch than Return to Mayberry. I remember Return to Mayberry, Eric K., and I've watched it for $5. Darth Gender Studies, Modalicious for $2. Yes. Saruin of House Roundhead for $5. We could see the Joker movie together in New York. It comes out the weekend of New York Comic Con. Oh, New York Comic Con's like, well, we could. We most definitely could. I got to buy my tickets, man. That's only a couple months away. Yeah, I think Mrs. Nerdrotic's coming out with me too. I got to add her on the, I wonder, Jeremy, did you ever hear back? I'm just assuming Jeremy's hanging on my every word. Did you ever hear back on your media pass? Did you get the media credentials? Hail Gary. Oh, I already read that one. Okay. So we go down. Dina Jamroz. Is it Jamroz? 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 Thank you, Dina, for $5. Glad to finally hit a live chat. Off topic, but are you still going to Comic-Con in New York City? Yes. Yes, indeed, I am. I've been wanting to go to that con for a long time. Call it a breath of fresh air from San Diego. I heard it's better. And as much as I love my hometown of San Diego and San Diego Comic-Con, I think Comic-Con has kind of run its course as far as being a relevant comic book convention. And who knows, maybe we'll run into somebody like Mark Waid. Psychotic Mark Waid. Mark Waid, who took the opportunity. So Marvel's coming out with issue 1000, which is just a BS marketing thing for their 80th anniversary. And they have 80 creators, and each creator gets to write either an essay or draw a picture or whatever. And Mark decided to use his essay to crap on our country, which he has every right to do, but doesn't he have a website or a blog? Maybe he wants to talk about how much he loves our comic books, because it's a celebration of comic books. And Marvel, rightly so, told him no. They only made him reword it a little bit, though. And then Marvel allowed it. And I hope you continue not buying Marvel comics. As much as it hurts my brothers and sisters who own comic shops, if you keep buying this crap, they will keep making it. Well, I don't know. The logic isn't that sound there, because people have stopped buying it, but they still make it. Maybe because they don't care. I don't know. But I don't know where I went off on that. But Dina, yes, I will be there. Cardinal Sin. Hail, Gary. How do we send you comics for your store? P.O. Box. The P.O. Box. But we can talk. By the way, I don't know if Svi Lebetkin is watching. I did get your email, and the answer is yes. How's that sound? Well, I don't know. It looks like I was sponsored. They said they wanted to sponsor me, and then I didn't hear from them again. And this is what I get for saying yes to one person. So I've turned down a bunch of sponsors, like a bunch. And I was going to say yes to one of them because Dave Cullen said yes. So I was going, well, if Dave Cullen can do it, I can do it. And they offered me something, and it was fair. It was nice, whatever. And I said, sure. And then never heard from him again. But maybe I missed it or something. By the way, CJ Franks. I'm like seeing, like, am I saying something funny there? I don't know. All right, back to the chat. Hi, Mary Ashmead. By the way, I want a big shout out to my wrenches, and we just got to start out with, I don't want to say the oldest, the wrench who has been with me the longest, Mary Ashmead. So if I get an M in the chat for Mary, that'd be, I would really appreciate that, because we love Mary Ashmead. She also wrenches for Doomcock. She is a great wrench. And of course we have Mark Lazerth. So that M could be for Mark as well. Mark is always here. Greatly appreciated. We have Chris Persia. We have DJ D Show. When they show up, we have the Cinema Queen. We have Christy Miller when they're here. So I do appreciate the wrenches who come out and work so hard. So thank you very much. I know, because my live streams, which used to be scheduled, are kind of sporadic now. Oh, look at that. Look at all those M's. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Thank you very much. You guys are great. So thank you. And yeah, I plan on doing something very special for the wrenches this Christmas. So their work will not go unappreciated, because I don't take them for granted. I don't. Mary is the best. Mary is the best. And Mark, you're not so bad either. Mikey, by the way, Mikey, I don't, you guys can never see my shirts, but I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts, my Heath Ledger Joker shirt for the Joker trailer here. I was just thinking of you, Mikey, there. So yeah, Doctor Who is missing another Christmas special again. Now this is reported on by Titan Comics. They put out, I guess in previews, a solicitation saying that, well, since there's no Doctor Who Christmas special this year, we're going to do a 2-part story. Now I can't show this on Twitter. I might do it in a video. But I didn't want to do a single video on this because I've already done one. We had heard rumors that there might be a festive special this year, but it wouldn't be on Christmas Day. Stephen Moffat already said back in 2017, the only reason he came back and did the awful Twice Upon a Time is because Doctor Who would have lost the slot with the BBC because it's really competitive right now if they abandon it. So that's why he came back, hastily wrote an episode, got Peter to come back, and did Twice Upon a Time because they didn't want to lose the Christmas slot. And Chris Chibnall didn't want to start on Christmas. So what does he do the next year? The frickin' moron, Chris Chibnall, loses the Christmas slot. So now they can't just get it back. Now, I'm sure Doctor Who has plenty of juice with the BBC, but they would have to change their scheduling. And that's aside from the other reason I have stated before, I will state again, and I will stand by this, that they don't want to put Doctor Who on a specific religious holiday because they don't want to associate Doctor Who with that holiday. You can use your imagination why. But I'll tell you why it isn't. I'll tell you from a fan perspective, nobody cares if it's on Christmas. If you're an atheist, there's plenty of atheist Doctor Who fans. I would say there's a large portion, just like there's plenty of atheist Star Trek fans. I don't think an atheist Star Trek fan or Doctor Who fan gives a crap if it's on Christmas. I don't think a practicing Muslim and if they're a Doctor Who fan, I don't think they give a crap if Doctor Who is on Christmas Day, personally. But I think the BBC thinks they care and doesn't want to put that on Christmas Day. I can certainly believe that the BBC would not want to, because they want to sell this throughout the world now. And they're considerate of other markets, and they're like, oh, we call it Christmas. That might offend somebody, we get right back to offended culture, cancel culture. And that's why Doctor Who is not on Christmas. And they, the tradition was a modern tradition, but it's still, listen, when I really started getting into Doctor Who again, it was because of a Christmas special. All right. And that's what started getting me into Doctor Who again. I had watched it in the PBS days, but it was a Christmas special that lit up Doctor Who for me. So, and now I, obsessively got into it. I watch an episode every day. As a matter of fact, my first review, Doctor Who and the Silurians, will be on my Patreon in the next couple days. And then I'm probably going to run through all of the Pertwee stuff. I might just do it in order because I'm just fully into Pertwee right now. And the reason they drop it was for political reasons, was for stupid reasons. It also shed some light on how hastily they put these things together. Like Twice Upon a Time was a hastily put together show. So that shows that they could put one together last minute with a few months to go. They could throw a Doctor Who episode together and put it out, but they don't want to. Now, how does that play into the rumors that we've heard? Well, again, I want to point out that they showed them filming the Cybermen, and that doesn't mean a showrunner hasn't been fired. That doesn't confirm anything, because I will point out that Star Trek Discovery kept filming when they fired their showrunners. So we've got that. Very interesting thing from Titan Comics, though. So Titan Comics, probably blabbed on this Christmas special when they shouldn't have, or maybe they have old information and maybe the BBC has changed their mind. That's a possibility. Titan Comics also put out something else that was interesting. One of the artists was offered up pages from the comic if you responded with a comment on his or her Twitter. I can't remember. You went into a drawing to get one of the pages from one of the comics. There was a tweet from this artist saying, hey, there's no interest. I can't believe nobody's commenting on this. And we're not getting enough people to enter this contest for the Doctor Who art. Now, I looked at the art. The art was fine. But as many people pointed out, it's the actual content. Nobody cares about Jodie. So they couldn't get enough people to enter for a free actual comic page from Doctor Who. That's how much interest has gone down. We've already seen verifiable evidence that Star Wars, the fan base is eroding. All right, it's still huge, it's still big, but it's eroding. There are problems with Star Wars. It's undeniable now. We have an empty galaxy's edge. We've talked about it quite a bit. What kind of shape do you think Star Trek and Doctor Who are in? Now, again, we're in streaming wars. And there's also, with the BBC, there's something different going on. There's Jodie. They can't admit failure with Jodie at all. If they do, they would be taking a giant L. And the BBC's not going to do that. So they're going to do everything in their power to keep Jodie going. The interest in Doctor Who, whatever goodwill they had earned over the last few years in the States, and again, that's my perspective here in the States. Doctor Who was huge here, bigger than it's ever been. They've lost it all. It's right back down to where it was probably, I'd say, right at the time Eccleston came aboard and they relaunched the series. I'd say that's where the interest is. Prior to that, it's just low. Nobody cares anymore. People have moved on. You've got your hangers on. You've got, Dr. Freedom out there. You got people who love the show, who want it to be good. But if you keep watching Jodie, it's the same thing that's happening to Star Trek, to Star Wars. You're enabling bad television. Don't enable bad television. It's better to not have any at all. We have Big Finish. We have 55 years of great TV that you can go and rewatch. And listen, the Jodie fans need all the time in the world to go back and watch that practice of the male gaze that was Doctor Who 55 years prior to Jodie popping on, because I'm guessing a lot of the Jodie fans don't actually watch a lot of the old Doctor Who or any of the old Doctor Who or classic Doctor Who. And now they have plenty of time to do it because there won't be a Christmas special. Thank God. I consider that a Christmas present from the BBC. Thank you very much. We'll just get Jodie over with all at once, and it will be premiering during Picard. So it should be a very interesting time around here at these parts. Anyone planning to go see Star Wars 9? Only to review it. Only to review it. Sam Whiskey, Doctor Who is dead. Time to reboot the Voyager. It's dead, Sam. It's dead. Interest is dead. The only people who are, listen, this is where you need fans like me. Fans who will be interested in your I love Lord of the Rings. I would say it's not at the top of the world as far as franchises are concerned, but if they put out anything, I would buy it. I'm that kind of a fan. So Doctor Who needs a fan like me when it has these dark times, who are going to buy the Big Finish stuff and the action figures and the Third Doctor Big Chief action figure and the Eighth Doctor Big Chief. Yeah, that's me. That's what I'm going to do. But guess what? Buying them secondhand now. I'm not going to buy them directly because I'm not going to give the BBC money. Not with that logo on it. The logo with the female symbol on it. Yeah, no, not doing it. Unfortunately, Big Finish does get my money. I subscribe to Big Finish, and they're good. They're mostly good. They've got their woke moments for sure, but they're mostly pretty good. It's quality stuff. Plus, I love me some audio dramas. By the way, if you sign up to my Patreon, very soon you'll have access to the audio theater, which is all my my audio collection. I'm going to start making it available in a secret location on my website that you'll be able to access on my Patreon. And I think we're going to start out with the BBC Spider-Man radio show from the early 90s with Brian May from Queen doing the music. It's wonderfully awful. It's a bunch of English people trying to do New York and Queens accents. It's freaking wonderfully awful. Imagine if they had the balls to set Rey as an infiltration Sith who was actually controlling Ben remotely and who enabled the F Order, or the First Order, to track down the fleet. Says Spinky Datai for £10. That would be more interesting than what they presented us with. See, that's why you in the chat are brilliant. You guys have more creativity than JJ has. So yeah, again, I would be more interested in that. If Rey was going dark and they actually went there and they planted the seeds throughout the trilogy, it would have been a lot more interesting. But as far as like you would need a redemption for Ben Solo. Well, to me, he's irredeemable, but he might be redeemable to Hollywood because killing your father might not be that big of a deal because they hate fathers anyway. Yeah, who's spamming in there? Yeah, bail on that spammer. Thanks, Mark, for getting that. No spamming. Get the hell out if you're spamming. Sam Whiskey and Collector Dude Down Under for Australian $10. No comment there. Am I missing the comment? Hang on. Let me make sure. I don't see anything there. Collector Dude Down Under. Hang on. Let me pop it over here. Oh, I don't see anything, but thank you for the $10 Australian. I greatly appreciate it. We have we had 1,600 people watching. That's good. Hey, Gary. Hey, Gary, what's the plan for the meetup in New York? Says Loquacious Primate for $2. I don't know yet, but it depends on the other YouTubers. Cause, I don't know my way around New York City. So, I've got a couple friends who live there, but I'll let you know. I'll let everybody know. We'll figure out something. I'm thinking shawarma. I like shawarma. Mary Ashmead for $2. You are not supposed to do that, Mary. So yes, our wrenches are not supposed to give super chats because they do enough work and I feel bad, but thank you, Mary. Gary, thank you. You are the best. No, you are the best, Mary. You are the best, Mary. Thank you. Tim Riggs for $1.99. Woke Lord of the Sith wielding a trans saber. Right. Oh, I loved, man, Andy from the UK's freaking tweet is genius. I love the Swiss Army knife and then the bottle opener doing a little beep at the end. I thought that was such a nice touch. I was laughing my ass off for that. Must be way back. That spam was gone a while ago, says Rhaegar. Thank you, Rhaegar. What's up, Rhaegar Targaryen? Man, and that sucks what they did to Game of Thrones. Rhaegar. Do you think George R. Martin's legacy is ruined because of the show Game of Thrones? I want to ask you because I know you're a fan. Just let me know in the chat. You don't need to super chat it, but I'm asking you that question because I'm saying yes. I'm saying his legacy is effed, and it wasn't even necessarily his fault. Him taking a long time with the book is one thing, but the show, I think, has killed a lot of interest in his book. Or do you think I'm wrong on that one? I'm open to that one. I don't know. New York City is both extremely easy to navigate and infinitely simple to get lost in, says Dr. Meatball. Well, if it's easy to navigate like London, I had never been to London in my life, but I found their whole tube system was wonderful. It was color coded to avoid confusion, and I was able to get around. I went to Abbey Road. And I did the little touristy crossing the street. Almost got hit by a car because it's an actual road where people drive down. It was me and a Japanese tourist. We couldn't understand each other, but he's all, take a picture. And I took a picture of him walking across. He took a picture of me. It was really cool. Good moment there. See, music bringing people together. We couldn't even understand each other, but we hung out for a little while. He was cool. I had a cigarette. He had a cigarette. I was smoking back then. So. In 2020, it will be 9 damn years since A Dance with Dragons. Damn, you're right. You're right. I was thinking the other day, it's almost been 20 years since Fellowship of the Ring came out. It's been 18 years, damn near 19 years. I was watching the original trailer for it last night without any of the Howard Shore music. And it's pretty terrible. I was like, God damn it, it's bad. Let's see. Did Rhaegar get back to me? Where's Rhaegar? Rhaegar, where are you? Rhaegar. I thought not at first, but it's pretty much done. More people know Game of Thrones through the show than through reading the books. Yeah, I was the same. Okay, so I felt the same, Rhaegar. At first I'm like, the people will still be into the books, but no. I mean, it's a lot more people are in the show than the books, to the tune of millions. Loquacious Primate, if you need a place to crash, you are welcome to crash at my house. It's not long. It's on Long Island, though, so you got to train for about an hour. I might take you up on that. I have a cousin who lives on Long Island, but I don't think he could take me in because he's got like 17 kids. Kind of like Mike S. Miller. Mike S. Miller, I think he just had another kid while we were talking. That would be cool. That would be very cool. Go to Long Island. Long Island. Motolicious. Hi. I already read your super chat, so I'm just saying hi. Sam Whiskey, Collector Dude Down Under, Loquacious Primate. Hey Gary, what's the plan for the meetup in New York for $2? I will let you know. But right now there is no plan. I would love to meet Ethan and Jeremy. I could talk Jeremy into going. Jeff. And that if Jeff comes, I mean, Jesse will probably have to go to New York. It'll be fun. Get Odin. It'll be a good time. Joni Baloney for $5. Will you ever come to Bubba Fest? Also, I played Conan X based on your recommendation. Topless Slaves and Cannibals. By the way, how can we get a new Star Wars episode 7 through 9? Well, we won't. But what would have been great, Joni Baloney, is that they just adapted Dark Empire. Dark Empire was great. So that's my episode 7 through 9. There is an audio drama of Dark Empire, by the way, that will be available on the Nerdrotic Audio Theater as well. And now you won't be able to download it. I'm just sharing it. So I think that's legal, right? You can listen to it. I don't give a shit if it's legal. Shut me down. Try. Canadian Highlander for 2 Canadian pesos. Star Wars Kia 2009. Disney sucks. 2019. Disney sucks. They do. Disney fracking sucks. Bob Iger sucks. I've been kicked out of Disneyland a lot. And you know what? I don't hold that against him. I kind of deserved it. I was a bit of an asshole. And plus I was smuggling in illegal drugs. So that's probably against their rules, I'm guessing. And I was acting, well, really effed up. But I got kicked out one year for having dyed hair. For 1 year, they would kick people out who had dyed hair. But Disney's so inclusive now. I've never liked Disney. I've never been a big fan, but I love Disneyland. I've always loved Disneyland. I like like The Black Hole. I like that movie. I like Tron. I like John Carter. I even like Tron Legacy. I did. I thought it was okay. Great soundtrack, man. Daft Punk. Whew. Great soundtrack. But yeah, otherwise screw them. What they've done to Marvel Comics. I love Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars all my life. Again, I was a member of the fan club. I had got Bantha tracks. The last thing, aside from my curtains, or you can probably see one if I go like this. That's one of the last things. Those are vintage Star Wars curtains that Mrs. Nerdrotic got me. I also have a poster that my friend painted. It was the first non-one-sheet poster for the Star Wars fan club, and it's of the Cantina band. So I have a poster of that he signed that I'll probably keep forever. But that's it. I don't care about Star Wars. But I've always liked Marvel Comics more. And what Disney has done to Marvel Comics, I'm working on a video right now that is probably going to be a couple days away because I got to make one for Jeremy. But it's going to be mentioning a lot of other YouTubers. A lot of other YouTubers who were making videos a couple of years ago, because their videos, they can dust them off now and bring them back out, and they would be applicable for what's going on in the MCU. But what they originally made their videos on was stuff on comic books 2 years ago. And that's the reason I'm on YouTube right now, is because I was watching these guys and gals every day. Your boy Zach, EVS, Just Some Guy, Mim Hebdrum, I Love Comics. Comics Division was always part of that group. I'm missing Doug Ernst. Mika Curtis. Is it Mika Curtis? And others. We're doing some great work. They still do great work, by the way. We're doing some great work back then, and they were ahead of their time. People were calling them istophobes, and they turned out to be right. And what they were against was the politicization of comics, the partisan identity politics in comic books, making them for a weird fringe few people out there. And guess what? People stopped buying it. Hundreds of comic shops closed, including a couple of friends of mine. And we are now at comic book retailing is in hospice. It's dead. I just did a live stream recently. Go check it out with Peter Samedi from Alterna Comics. This is one great example of what's right about comics and how it will survive. The reason it will survive beyond shops and probably beyond the big two, because of people like Peter Samedi and all those, Mike S. Miller and EVS and all those, your boy Zach, the people doing the Indiegogo stuff. That's how it's going to survive now. Now, if you asked me that a year ago, I don't know if I'd have believed that, but I mean, like, the proof is in the pudding. It's happening. So that's how it survives. Alterna Comics, they print on newsprint. I was asking that to be done years ago. I was asking them to roll back prices. Again, I was laughed at. Maybe I was being naive, but they could have saved it, but no. And the same thing is happening to Star Wars. So what you're going to see, and what I'm starting to see, I was talking this to another YouTuber. I'll just say another YouTuber privately earlier today. And I was saying, hey, I'm noticing some of the same people who are kind of anti the comic book movement thing. They're starting to pipe in on the fandom menace. It looks like they're looking for relevancy or something. And we need to watch out for that. And boy, I even saw one in the chat here today. So it's nice to know that I've made the big time. But yes, I like John Carter. I did. Yes, it was a travesty. I mean, the book is great. Okay. I mean, like, listen, I liked it as a movie objectively by itself. As an adapted work, no, it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. And listen, I like bad movies. Con Air is in my top 10 all-time favorite movies. It's a terrible movie. But it has freaking Dave Chappelle, and it has Nicolas Cage, and it's got a great cast, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. And, I like movies that take place in Vegas, even if the plane just crashes in Vegas. John Malkovich. I mean, come on. I think it's a classic personally, but I know it's a schlocky movie, but sometimes I like bad stuff. I do. And that's why, if you like, you're right, Douglas Arthur, it is the future, by the way. If you like The Last Jedi or Star Trek Discovery, that's fine. I mean, I'm going to question your taste, but it's fine if you like it. As long as you're okay with me not liking it. And I think most people are fine. Like, hey, we disagree on this one show. Great. It's the people who get on me for not liking a show they like, and then they want to attack me anonymously. Like, keep it coming, by the way. I mean, I barely see you, but I find it interesting. Or even want to make videos. I mean, I still got to make a response video. So somebody made a video about me who's much bigger channel. I'm allowed to go after people who are bigger. I'm allowed. Punching up, right? Punching up. Nerdrotic, what do you think Disney will try to do to resolve? What do you think Disney will do to try and resolve the issues they have with money? Asked Max. If Disney Plus does as well as they hope, I think they'll be out of debt. I mean, but they're in debt right now because they put a bunch of money into developing D+, plus they bought Fox, and they just got out from under buying Marvel and Star Wars. And when they come up with this money, Max, they don't go into their own coffers. They borrow. They go into their coffers for some, but they borrow it based on their value, and that's how they buy these other things. Disney only has, I think Clownfish TV reported this, they only have $6 billion liquid to draw on. So they just spent $72 billion on Fox, and they massively overpaid for it, by the way. They didn't have $72 billion laying around. They had to borrow it. So they're in debt. And their debt, they can borrow against the value of their own value. So that's what Netflix does. Netflix is more valuable than Disney right now, even through its hard times. It's more valuable. So they're able to borrow on that. But once your debt passes up your value, it's basic physics at that point. You're done. So what can Disney do? Disney Plus needs to succeed. Plus, they need to continue cranking out Marvel hits. Marvel has been great, but even with the big year for Marvel, they were down financially for a little while. Even with $1 billion Captain Marvel and $1 billion or a couple billion Endgame, I think part of that is fudge numbers. This is just my opinion. I think the Chinese numbers are fudged. And China has a lot of motivation to do that because they get a percentage of the box office. So, of course, they would fudge that. Listen, they make knockoff Mercedes over there. You think they're not going to fudge some movie numbers? Come on. Come on. So, yeah, there's a lot of skullduggery going on. Do I think Disney's going to collapse? No, of course not. They're too big to fail, which is bad. That's why I was against the Fox Disney deal. Because if they collapsed, it would actually affect our economy. That's bad. We can't have companies that are so big that if they fail, they affect our entire economy. No, I am against that every time. Adam Child, Gary, I will be in San Francisco this weekend. Rise of Skywalker, the weekend Rise of Skywalker comes out. Would love to possibly see it with you. And here you go off, LOL. Did you watch In the Name of the King? I sent you an email with the link. I got the email, Adam. I haven't watched it, but I will watch it because I'll probably watch that. That might be a good date night movie with Mrs. Nerdrotic because she likes Statham. She likes the Jason Statham. Yeah, let's do that. Adam, email me. We'll get in touch and we'll get some tickets and we'll go. And yeah, if you're in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco area, I think that would be fun. If any of you want to go see Rise of Skywalker, we can do like a group event. Maybe I'll work it out on the website. And if you're in the area and you want a ticket, we can get like a block of tickets or something and all go watch Rise of Skywalker. I think that would be fun and make a meetup out of it. Adam, I give you the credit for that. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I know I can get some people who used to come to the comic shop to go, so we can get a few people, go out to dinner. We could go to, now Buca de Beppo is not there anymore. I'm going to look up this restaurant right now because it is a damn good restaurant, but I'm forgetting, it's like a Brazilian steakhouse. And I forgot the name of it, but it's really good. Fogo de Chao. That place is good. So it's like a Brazilian steakhouse. They come out and you get like these giant like meat off on a skewer and stuff. So yeah, not very good for you vegans, but Fogo de Chao, good stuff. That's where we will go to eat. The Dead Monk for $5. Hated episode 7 so much I haven't seen any more Disney Star Wars. Thinking of reviewing episode 9 for my channel. Should I review it without watching episode 8? No. The Dead Monk, I think you should. I think it'd be really good if you reviewed episode 8 with like fresh eyes. Watch it, review it viscerally. You know, have your video set up, watch the movie, and then walk right over and record your gut feeling and your honest one, even if you walk away liking it. Like, that's what I would recommend you do. Let's check out your channel here. Let's go check out your channel. The Dead Monk. There you go. Well, we need to, the Dead Monk needs more than 9 subscribers. So we need to get his subscribers up. But yeah, definitely I would watch the film and then give a visceral reaction. That's what I do. That's why, I'm not as smart, obviously, as Mahler and others, where they can break down the ins and outs and really what Mahler is great at. Now, I don't believe anybody can be fully objective, but he gets pretty damn close, and he's very good at just pointing out anything illogical with the film. He's got a keen eye for that. And so does Rags, and so does Word of Wolf. That's why they all work like really well together. They're like the police of YouTube. All right. And I'm talking, Zenyatta Madata police, like almost perfection. Yeah, I know Sting's solo act. Forget about that. The Police were a great band. They were a great band. 3 great musicians playing together, largely on Caribbean islands and making great music. So I kind of see, I see EFAP as like the Police of YouTube, but not like the Cops, the band Police. Enjoyed your earlier vid today. Derp Ray, bwahaha. So thank you for liking that. Yes, Professor Chaos 00 for $2. Derp Ray, that's what we have. I mean, like even if she was dark, are we going to be, I mean, is that anything other than cringe inducing? I mean, little Daisy Ridley, she's going to be so dark and hard and scary. I would laugh. If they actually went openly with Dark Ray, I don't think I would be able to hide my laughter. Interrupted my viewing of John Wick 3 to see your stream. Spoilers, it's pretty violent. Says Bluesgate 37 for $5. Well, I consider that a great honor that you would stop John Wick. Probably one of the last great franchises we still have out there. Although I haven't seen the third one yet. Haven't seen it. For me. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Nina Fabiano. Hi, Nina. How are you? It's good to see you again. For $5. Now that the age of comic book movies is coming to a close, which it is, what do you think is the next big trend? The next big trend is going to be? That is a good question. Usually between big trends, there is a lull. So that's a tough call. I was kind of thinking we would get a throwback once the pendulum usually swings the other way. So maybe the action film, possibly the action film might come back. I thought John Wick might be a good, it might be a good precursor to that. But what I heard from John Wick 3, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. They kind of dial that back a little bit, but I'm not sure because I haven't seen the movie. So I think that's a possibility, kind of a return to action films. For one, they're cheaper to make than genre films. Bruce Campbell pointed out that Hollywood, soon as Hollywood can get away with not making superhero films anymore and have some other viable way of making movies without, because they cost so much damn money. And what's been happening to superhero movies, especially Marvel, and I'm going to borrow a term from Robert Meyer Burnett. It's a word called verisimilitude, reality. Winter Soldier was a pretty damn grounded movie. That's a pretty damn perfect superhero movie. I would put it right up there with The Dark Knight as far as being grounded and feeling real and cool. Yeah, it had the big stuff at the end, but it still felt real. Endgame had none of that. Endgame looked like a bunch of actors who weren't really wearing their costumes in front of a giant green screen. That's what it looked like. The end looked awful. Like on third viewing, I'm like, this looks terrible. I'm just going to come out and say it. It looks terrible. It's all dark and dingy. And, you don't see anybody in focus. I screen capped on a 4K and everybody's blurred out. Everybody, I mean, even on a close-up, I was trying to get a close-up of our Lord and Goddess Bree. And I couldn't because there's no clear images of her. And it's because the green screen is so shoddy. They had to basically, it's like on Photoshop when you use your little dab tool to kind of, I do it all the time to kind of make the line softer to look like stuff is in motion. They do that. It looks terrible. It looks terrible. So what do I think the next trend is going to be? Ooh, I think film is dead, Nina. I don't think the movie theaters, which is crazy because they're building a giant one in a mall, which is weird. Here in San Francisco, there's a mall called Stonestown. They're building a giant theater. And I'm like, really? You're building a theater, a movie theater where you're going to have to employ people and pay rent to the tune of $100,000 a month. Like, how are you going to do that? The next Marvel films are not going to be filling up movie theaters. Black Widow, meh. Blade is maybe the most interesting sounding, but if it's PG-13, it won't do that well. Yeah. And everybody's focusing on streaming services. I think, movie theaters will always be around, but I think it'll fall back to the mom and pop ones who could show like indie films and But I think the megaplexes, I think they're dead. I think they're done. They have an expiration date. JC Shaggy for $5. Hey Gary, I heard you saw before about returning comics. Can you explain how? Hey Gary, I heard you'd say before about returning to comics. Can you say how that'd work? Great interview with Alterna Comics. Thank you. I will try to do this quickly. If comics, they're never going to return to greatness. They're going to remain niche. The only way they're going to survive is if Marvel and DC roll everything back, they reduce their title count, they start printing on pulp, they make comic books $1.50 to $1.99, and they put the comics everywhere. Walmart, 7-Eleven, Circle K, Target, your local gas station, your local salon, everywhere. Instead, what they're doing is trying to work out deals with freaking libraries and Scholastic, which means you're going to sell them in schools and you're going to basically connect them to the government with government oversight. Even though Scholastic is its own company, it heavily relies on city governments. So it's a government bailout. Comic books don't work like that. Plus, you're going to get PBS-like stories. You're going to get government-approved stories that can only work with the curriculum of your public schools. Nobody wants to read that shit. So you'll have independent and you'll have that. The only way it would work as a mass market, like I said before, you make it cheaper, you reduce your titles, you trim a lot of the fat, basically fire everybody at Marvel from CB Cebulski down, and bring in people who want to create comics, not become screenwriters, who want to write and draw comic books, and a 2-year moratorium on all politics. It'll never happen. Never happen. Retailers, well, they did themselves in by denying there's a problem. I still get that. They deny there's a problem. They don't think there's a problem anymore. Now, there's still plenty of people who want to buy comic books. That's not a problem. But there's plenty of people who don't want to go to comic stores anymore because comic stores became a storefront for Diamond. The direct market ran its course. And yeah, how I would return, basically Mile High Comics is doing what I had planned to do. I am going to sell back issues. The only way you could start a comic book store now is start one like you would be starting one in the 60s and 70s. You have a big ass collection and you put it for sale. Don't rely on anything new. And if you can, buy the building. So you'll probably have to be in a lower rent district, but that's where comic stores kind of belong. And if you can, buy a building and so you don't have to pay rent, and yeah, just pay property tax. But of course you have to have a lot of money built up, or you have to be in kind of a low rent area. There's no way I could do that here. So the plan is to have a pop-up and then move, and then hopefully I can buy a building someplace else. But we'll see. We'll see. That's going to take some cheddar. It doesn't have to be a huge building. Adam Child for $10. Hi, Gary. How about all the 4 million stormtroopers that are in the spaceship? LOL. Gosh, I can hear Doomcock ranting now. No logic with Star Wars writers. Sounds good, Gary. See you in SF. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars has never really needed it because it's been really good at doing that stuff. Well, I mean, the original trilogy. George was bad with it as well. Jar Jar's worse. Jar Jar doesn't think about that stuff. The mantra with Jar Jar, and it was really eye-opening to see this repeated in the Blu-ray special features for Star Trek Discovery Season 1, that anybody who works or in and around bad reboot really loves the saying, but it looks cool. I know we took a look at canon, but we decided this looks more cool. Let's look at the new Klingons. How did that race evolve? I mean, there's twofold. Physically, how did they evolve? And logically, how does a warrior race that likes to live back in the Stone Age and light torches on spaceships, how did they evolve? Where were their scientists? It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't need, and Star Trek needs to feel like it makes sense. You know what's great about The Expanse? I don't personally know if it makes sense because I am not a scientist. I am a high school dropout. Actually, dropout's not the right word. I have been kicked out of high school. So I wouldn't know, but it feels right. I mean, they've really explained stuff to me that sounds very logical. That's all you need to do. The Expanse is perfect at it. Star Trek used to be pretty damn good at it. They'd throw some, sci-fi babble at you, but it was believable. Some tachyon, quantum level, whatever. But mushrooms, and shooting stars in deep space and sonar in space. And my favorite one, when Saru needed to escape from the giant seaweed monster from his home planet, he was in a room where the only place where this monster could surface out of the water, and he was locked in. So it was like an airlock, and he punches the floor and is able to pull out a device that just so happens to be able to, he turns it into a communicator. So he punches the floor, founds a device like in the middle of the floor that he turns into a communicator, and he's able to open the doors with it. It's stupid. It's the dumbest show on TV. Star Trek Discovery is the dumbest show. Star Trek Discovery. Well-named show. Sorry, I got the chat all hung up there. My bad. Do you see a parallel between all of the streaming services and the Hollywood era when theaters were owned by studios? Yes. Glisner, that's a great point. Maybe they'll return to that. Maybe Netflix buys some theaters. I heard they did. I heard Amazon bought some theaters too. But you know what? The little mom and pop theaters here in San Francisco, they do well. They do really well. They get first run indie movies, and then they'll show some old movie. They're able to clear their rent, and they just have family members work there, and they do fine. That's the kind of that's the kind of small business that I love. America needs a lot more of that, in my opinion. I mean, listen, the big companies have their place. Walmarts have their place. I don't think they shouldn't exist. As a matter of fact, I would love there to be a Walmart in San Francisco. Love it. It would just employ a bunch of people, and I'd be able to get some stuff for cheap, which I can't get. Believe me, the boutique Targets, the shit is twice as expensive there. It's almost cheaper for me to drive across the bay to the closest Walmart, which is like 30 miles away. Plus, they have pretty good. They used to have a good action figure section there. I don't know if they do, because I haven't been to a Walmart in so damn long, and there's no Toys R Us's anymore. Yes, watch the Orville. Al Bundy says, watch the Orville. Watch the Orville. Watch The Expanse. Mr. Robot when it comes back. Altered Carbon on Netflix is pretty damn good. Venture Brothers. If you haven't watched the Venture Brothers, you can start. It's 7 seasons. I think you can watch it on Hulu. You will be happy when you're done. STD has failed. Historic General, it's failed massively. And the only reason it's propped up is because we're in the middle of the streaming wars. I think Midnight's Edge, Doomcock, myself, I think we've laid out a pretty good, some good evidence to that effect. That the only reason that show is still around is because they need it to be around. But if Star Trek Discovery was a success, there would be no Star Trek Picard. It wouldn't be necessary. But now they put all their eggs in the Picard basket. So your star of your TV show is approaching 80. 80. And Star Trek Discovery is 900 years in the future. So it might as well be 900 years in the past. And I'm guessing everything's going to be dystopian, torn down. So it'll look like Mad Max. Because it's hard and it's almost impossible to go 900 years in the future. And if people have actually advanced that far to show the technology, it'd be the technology of the gods. What would be the stakes there unless the gods were bad? But then they would wipe out the Discovery. And I don't think Kurtzman's that smart. So my guess is there's going to be a lot of people in trench coats and rags and in ruins. And we're not going to get anything futuristic. And somehow, some way, we won't be able to learn about the Federation because there will be nothing left. And it will destroy canon because the Federation will probably not be around anymore. And yeah, it's F Star Trek Discovery. They're desperate. No, CBS All Access is desperate. They've been offering 1 week for free. They've been spamming my Facebook with it. No school for Gary. He's a punk. Art Thibert, dude. The Art Thibert is here. Everybody, hang on. That is cool. You're right. I'm a punk, man. I got kicked out. You're awesome, Art, by the way. If that is indeed, I think that is the Art Thibert. That is freaking brilliant. That's a legend right there, folks. Thanks for the you're welcome, Max. You're welcome. Grimy for Australian $5. I'm going out and buying old TV shows to see me through the woke apocalypse. And it's cheap. In Search Of is on Amazon. I think you can get the entire season of In Search Of for like $40. It's totally worth it. Yeah, just buy old TV. You're right. JC Shaggy for $2. Meant to say make comics returnable after purchase. Oh, duh. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, that would have been something they needed to do a long time ago. Is when you buy a comic book at a comic book store, the comic shop owner is stuck with that comic. He can't return it unless it's damaged or they were shorted. And a lot of the times you don't get back what you were damaged or shortage. What they should have done a long time ago is made comic books returnable and made them available in more places. When you have more people, and the comic shops fought this tooth and nail. Brian Hibbs fought this tooth and nail, and I will tell them they were wrong. And this is why you were wrong. And you will always be wrong on this, because more people reading your comic books is always better than less. See, if 100 people buy comic books at Walmart and one of them becomes a comic book fan, he'll want to shop at a comic book store. Walmart can never offer the service that a comic book store has. So you get the first one free. You know, it's like drug dealing. You pass out the first one free, and then you find a better dealer who's not cutting his stuff so much. So that's what you should have done, and you didn't do, and that is why you fail, comic book industry. It's that simple. And I was saying it 10 years ago. I was laughed at. I was told I was wrong. I was told it couldn't be done. Okay, I guess survival's not that important to you. I guess it's just not that important to you. But I see Alterna Comics motoring right along, doing great. I want to buy all of their comics now. After what Peter showed me, for one, the print looks great and it's the right price. $1.50 for a comic book. And you can sell more, and the more you sell, it makes my brain hurt. So your comics are cheaper. People can buy more. And if they're buying more, that means they're getting into more characters. They're getting deeper into your lore, and they would have a propensity to buy even more later. But that's what happens with the comic book industry. You have a bunch of, the retailers, they're stubborn. And let's face it, when you want to be a comic shop owner, sometimes that doesn't attract the go-getters in life. All right. But there are some, don't get me wrong, like James Sim at Isotope is a great comic shop owner who gets it, who goes out and he's like a game show host, a carnival barker. He's got a character. He wears like a suit to work every day, and like a shark skin suit. He has a role to play. He has a persona. That's freaking genius. It's absolute genius. And that's why he won Best of the Bay every damn year, because he was comic shop 24/7. Brian Hibbs, while I'll disagree with him on that one thing, crunches numbers better than anybody I've ever seen. So, he's done the comic shop retailing all his life, so he understands the ins and outs. I think the big drawback is being just in San Francisco and not experiencing, other places. Because the world, believe it or not, is not San Francisco. And I think that helped me a lot by not being from San Francisco. And that's why I had my little superhero shop, which nobody wanted. Everybody wanted to be the edgy art store here. And I'm like, oh, I'll be the dorky superhero store with men in tights. Fine. No problem. Eric Barron for $1.99. Just discovered you. You are a breath of fresh air. Well, welcome, Eric. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Nerdrotic. And by the way, while we're on the subject, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed, give me a subscription. I don't bite. It's not that hard. All you have to do is, click that little bell or not. It's okay. I don't want to tell you what to do, but maybe consider it if you like what you heard. Comics are going the way of the Pog, says Bodalicious for $2. Yes, but they don't need to. They don't need to, because like I said, and you're right, but we're talking mainstream. We're talking Marvel DC. There's still people out there who want to buy it. There's still people out there who want to support it. This has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt with the Indiegogo campaigns and Alterna. Also, let me plug one thing. Alternaween is happening. The cool thing about this is Indiegogo is you can pass out Alterna comics for Halloween, which is a great idea. And some of the proceeds, so if this gets, oh, that's the first one. I'm sorry. I got to get to the second one. I got to get to the second one here, and they will donate comics to Children's Hospital. And I tell you what, I'll do that. I've got crap loads of comics downstairs. So I'm going to bundle some up for this Christmas, and I'm just going to donate a bunch to kids, to children's hospitals, short boxes. I'll make a video about it. Nothing needs to be done. I'll just bundle it up and hand it over. And, of course I'll get a write-off, and that'll be great. But, if it gets kids reading comics, of course I have to go through them and make sure they're all appropriate. But, yeah, I was telling Peter yesterday, I bought this giant bronze collection, about 10 years ago, and it was just all bronze reprints, like Marvel Greatest Comics, Marvel Tales. And I put them on my spinner rack, and I sold them for 25 cents a piece to kids who were 12 and under. And if you were 13 and up, you had to pay $1. It got so bad where dads were sending kids in to buy the comics. So I caught a couple. I'm like, come on, man. But I got this, I had a kids section in my store, and we were doing birthday parties. I had kids coming over buying comics, reading comics, and all it took was a little work, and it was pretty easy. You give them some bronze Marvel, which is just perfect storytelling for a 12-year-old, even today for a 10-year-old, 9-year-old. And because I hate the kids comics are always done by a B team, and they're always written down to a level that, kids get it when they're being talked down to. Peter talked about this yesterday. So here we go. We're going to, boom. All right. So this is Alternaween, and they're past their goal. There's 3 days left. Check it out. You support comic books. You support newsprint comic books. You support an independent publisher who supports all comic creators. Not black. He ignores blacklists. This guy went through a lot of shite. This guy got swatted just because he wouldn't denounce comic creators based on the person they voted for or their religion. I know, craziness, but that's America right now. So within this, he talks about, at Alterna, we believe in giving back to the community. So for every $1,000 raised past our goal, we'll donate a box of 100 comics to various children's hospitals so kids can go out. Kids who can't go out trick-or-treating for Halloween can still have a few goodies on that day. How brilliant is that? So give this a look. I'm going to link it in the chat, and support my buddy Peter. He's a good dude. It was really nice talking to him yesterday. And there you go. That's in there. So thanks for checking that out. And there you go. There you go. Goat Bacon for $10. Just discovered Alterna yesterday and promptly bought 19 comic books for $25. That's brilliant, Goat Bacon. You're awesome. You got 19 comic books for $25. That's 4 to 5 comic books right now. And I bet you that's 19 better than anything Marvel right now. Anything. So yes, support Alterna. Support Alterna creators. Another sneaky good show is Man in the High Castle, says Austin Kaiser for $2. I do enjoy Man in the High Castle, although I always call it Man in the White Castle. And then I get hungry. Gary, here is another, oh boy. Here's another $5 for your lights. Did you ever watch Killjoys on Syfy? It just got picked up for a 4th and 5th season. If so, your thoughts? I have not seen Killjoys yet, Adam Child, but I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I will check it out. Thank you. I got to make sure I didn't skip it. Observer Dude for $5. What would be your response? What would your response be to The Last Jedi defenders who say Empire received negative reviews when it was released? My response would be, I don't know what one would have to do with the other. When I walked out of Empire when I was a 10-year-old, I was pissed because they freaking left me on a cliffhanger. And 3 years is a long time to a 10-year-old, by the way. And they had never done it. I have never seen anything done. But I was also amazed that they took Star Wars and they made such a different movie. But it was still, the characters were the same. So often people like to compare, really people who don't, some people like to compare Empire to The Last Jedi. The biggest difference is the characters remained the same. They actually progressed. The characters in The Last Jedi, well, for one, the main characters, the new characters, they didn't progress at all. Rey didn't progress. Finn didn't progress. Poe didn't progress. They stayed the same or they regressed. And the legacy characters regressed. You can't say Princess Leia did anything because she barely spoke. She flew like Mary Poppins. And let's face it, Carrie Fisher did not put in a good performance. I'm sorry, she didn't. She hadn't been acting in a long time. JJ himself said she was having a hard time finding the character, and obviously she was going through some personal issues during the time of filming. So I'm very sorry about that, but that's the truth of the situation. I'm very sorry she's gone. Sorry, my dogs are barking. And Luke was treated like crap. And but as far as Empire, people were critical of Empire. I actually have those clippings. I have somewhere around here. I have my scrapbook. And I have all the reviews from Star Wars, Blade Runner, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Empire Strikes Back, Last Crusade, and Return of the Jedi in one scrapbook. And I mean, every review I could find, I clipped out. I was that much of a nerd. And yeah, a lot of people didn't like Empire. And all those people who didn't like it, about 7 or 8 years later came around. But the fans loved it. The Star Wars fans loved it. I loved it. All my friends loved it. If Doug is out there, the official Dougie J, we saw it together. We loved it. And the action figures were the best. My Hoth play set. Oh, it was freaking awesome, man. Oh my God. Those were the good days. And that soundtrack, man. Whew. That soundtrack was so good. I could just hear John Williams when they're flying through the asteroids. Oh man. Can make goosebumps. But the Last Jedi Defenders, with the Last Jedi Defenders, I always question their motivation. I'm like, okay, it's one of a couple things. You have horrendously bad taste, and you have conviction in your bad taste, kind of like Major Tom. Major Tom's got a very deep voice. He sounds very convincing, and he's got horrible taste in films. If he really thinks The Last Jedi is that great of a movie, he just has bad taste. Now, bless him for having bad taste. That's fine. Coming after the Phantom Menace to defend his bad taste is kind of a leap in logic, and especially when you don't really put that many people from the Phantom Menace in your video, but whatever. That's fine. Mahler's had him on the channel. That's fine. I trust Mahler. But yeah, it's bad taste. Defending Star Trek Discovery, you have bad taste. That's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you just somebody who's got bad taste. And wanting to attack somebody to defend your bad taste, though, well, I mean, good luck with that. You're going to have a hard time making a very logical argument. I'd rather watch Andromeda than Star Trek Discovery. Sure, it was cheesy, but it had relatable characters and with actual arcs and a surprisingly well-developed universe, says Joel Tamburo for $5. I will take your word for it, but yeah. I would rather watch Galactica 1980 than Star Trek Discovery over and over again. I was watching, you know what I was watching? You know what you can watch for free right now? Buck Rogers on NBC.com. You can watch all the Buck Rogers episodes. And I honestly haven't watched one in decades. And I watched the first 4. And I was actually impressed. I was actually really impressed. I mean, they're very of their time, but you know what? They have more logical character progression than anything in Star Trek Discovery. All right. I'm making sure I didn't miss any here. Eric, Adam Child, Austin Kaiser for $2. Thank you again for the super chat. Goat Bacon, thank you again for the super chat. Best time is now for $9.99. Do you think there's a future for old school graphic novels? Yeah, I do. I think there's more of a future for graphic novels. If the future of comics is indeed going to be buying directly from the creator, and we don't know if that's going to work. They've really tried this in music, like Trent Reznor did it with Nine Inch Nails. He started offering his stuff on his own website, right? Cutting out the middleman. And that works for him, but does it keep him relevant? I don't know. It depends. I think you're going to have a platform, but yes, I think the future will be like releasing, it won't be, they're going to have to get away from the monthly system, and they're going to have to just make graphic novels. They'll have to be longer. And you'd have to come out with maybe one every year or so. But yeah, you can make it like a fantasy novel series, and you start looking at it like that. Yes, there is a future for the old school graphic novel. Now, people can argue about this. I was noticing this with Damon Lindelof when he was talking about Watchmen. He kept on calling Watchmen a graphic novel. I'm like, dude, if you're adapting something, you should know about it. You should know that it was a comic book series, not a graphic novel. It was a collected trade paperback, Watchmen, but it wasn't a graphic novel. A graphic novel is an original work, dude. But that's Damon Lindell penis. Loquacious Primate for $5. I don't know much about the comics industry, but how do a few Indiegogos selling a couple thousand copies show that there is enough customer base to support DC Marvel? A couple of them sold $500,000 worth of books. So that is an indicator. It's an indicator. Is it absolute proof? No. But if you can get more people buying that stuff, that indicator shows that the trend is swinging that way. Is it actual data that it'll work? It's the only thing that's showing growth, Loquacious Primate. The comics industry is shrinking otherwise. If you're looking at the overall sales for DC and Marvel, they are in decline. So the indicator shows that there is somewhat, there's a growth market. The only growth market right now is in the Indiegogo stuff. It depends on the fallback on that. The only fallback is on the artist. See, the one thing that Marvel and DC did was make sure the artists got their work done on time and got the books out. But we'd have to change the philosophy of the market. It would have to be like the book market. Maybe it works that way. And it's a maybe, Loquacious. You're right. I mean, if you look at the actual number of people who bought books, it's, we had $500,000, but it was only, a few thousand people buying it. We need those numbers to be 10,000, 15,000. But listen, we're just starting. So, and another thing is they got to stick with it. They got to produce, and they got to produce regularly and stick with it. And then it works. Yes, it works, I think. Riff Magos for Australian $5. I had a Tatooine playset complete with cardboard cutout sandcrawler. Those are the days, man. Oh, God, toys now suck too. Bruce Lombardo for $4.99. Walt Simonson's Ragnarok was started in the second story arc. You should read it. It explodes. Thank you, Bruce Lombardo. If we're talking about Thor, I have read a lot of Thor. by the way. So Ruin of House Roundhead for $5. As a matter of fact, I have a complete run of Thor. Journey in the Mystery. I have Journey into Mystery and Thor all the way up to Straczynski's run. Complete. Sir Ruin of House Roundhead for $5. Did you see the movie Bright on Netflix? Carnival Row looks like it's going to do Bright should have done, which is being a TV show instead of a movie. Sir Ruin of House Roundhead, I did see Bright and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I did. I thought it was great. It's ridiculous and I freaking loved it. I know a lot of people didn't. I'm not the biggest Will Smith fan in the world. I used to be, but I liked Bright. I thought it was cool. I thought it was going to be a preachy, political mess. And it was more like, it really just tried to mix two genres that sound ridiculous together, but it's kind of a what the hell movie. Let's try it. And I thought it was executed okay. Let's take Lord of the Rings and match it with Training Day and see what happens. I think they did okay. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. £5, but message was retracted. I'm sorry. Matt Joseph for $2. Aussie Buck Rogers Blu-ray set is excellent. I'll have to check that out. Oh, that's right. They did a Blu-ray set for them. I'll have to get that. Peter Ford for $4.99. I'm rereading Star Wars Heir to the Empire. Damn, the first 60 pages are 100 times better than any Disney Star Wars. Thrawn is scarier than Vader. Yes. That is a great book. That is a great book. Social Loner for £5. Is it true Mark Hamill broke down crying on the set of The Last Jedi? That's what I heard. I don't know that for a fact, but I did hear that reported. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't be surprised. Right. So we are going to wrap things up. I'm just going to make sure I didn't pass up any. Oh, we got one more there. Logic Noodles. The Meta Barons is a great comic series turned into a hardcover graphic novel published by Humanoids. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Humanoids. I used to like Humanoids until they hired Mark Waid, and now I don't want anything to do with them. It is a new IDW comic. It started in 2015. It's called Ragnarok. I'll check it out, Bruce Lombardo. Although IDW is another company I'm not very happy with. I don't like giving them money, but on your suggestion, I will, Bruce, because I trust you. I trust you, my friend. By the way, I am jacked up on some coffee today. Can't you tell? Thank you, Bruce, for the $1.99. And Logic Noodles, thank you for the Australian $10. And let me just make sure, again, that I didn't miss anybody. If I did for some... Blue Gate 37. Okay, I read that one. All right, if I missed one, I am sorry. I'll double check it for Friday. So, reminder. Oh, I gotta go. I've got videos to make. My family's outside the other end of that door right now. I think they're eating dinner. Yeah, because it's 7:03. It's 7:03, and it's late for you guys anyway. So, the next live stream will be tomorrow, 1 p.m. on Nerdrotic Live. If you're into the UFO stuff, Dictor Van Doomcock and myself will be doing the Exozone. Then Friday, 5 p.m. with Comics Division, Odin's Movie Blog, and possibly others. Friday Night Tights returns, and we will talk about all things Star Wars, and we're really going to dive into the MCU and what is going on with the MCU and why they are making the same exact mistakes as Marvel Comics did in 2015. Nina Fabiano, for the Cynicalypse, thank you for the $2, Nina Fabiano. I appreciate it. And everybody have a great night. Please go to nerdrotic.com for my live stream schedule. Please check out Alterna Comics. Please support Indiegogos like Mike S. Miller, and many others. EVS's Cyberfrog. Check that out. And who else can I plug? I was supposed to plug somebody else. I'll plug him Friday if I forgot. Loquacious Primate for $2. What said The Last Jedi Luke created originally by Lucas? Wade said The Last Jedi Luke created originally by Lucas. Oh, who said that? Who's Wad? Wadsad? I'm not getting the first one. I did hear that the concept of that Luke was taken from Lucas. And I have heard a little bit of Lucas's concept, but I'm thinking they dialed it up. I'm thinking Rian Johnson dialed it up because of the current climate we're in. The white male mentor, especially one teaching a female. We just can't have that right now. I'm surprised they did it as much as they did. And they really just couldn't wait to get that over with. You're not going to see any white men mentoring females of any kind at all, ever. And if they do, don't worry, that man will be betraying that female later in the narrative because of the current climate in Hollywood. All right, everybody. Thank you again, Loquacious Primate. It's always with the good questions. Okay. And I'll see you all tomorrow on the Exozone. So everybody have a good night, and not all who wander are lost.